Welcome to the Iberian Property Talks. It's a real pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Um, Gesvalt is one of the leading valuation companies. My question is, who are now the most active buyers till the end of the year? It is more the time for opportunistic, the time for long-term view investors. What is your view?
What's our view? Well, first of all, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. The market is going to be very interesting in Spain and Portugal, I think, for the next month. Once this situation is overcome, we think that the most active buyers will be those investors who lost their opportunity to invest in real estate assets during the recovery cycle experienced between 2014 and 2018. Likewise, those opportunistic investors who abandoned the real estate industry in 2018 and 17 are now likely to decide to return after seeing the opportunities that are arising. And we should also consider the potential interest of investors with core and core plus strategies seeking stable returns for their portfolio, in addition to those funds or private investors that in recent months have been interested in the build to rent format. In any case, we consider that both investment funds and REITs have the possibility of playing a significant role within the revitalization and recovery of the real estate industry once we return to normality after the current situation, as long as they continue to protect and commit to their activity.
Um, one of the most difficulties things are now, I imagine, to make proper evaluations that can be consensual because there is a lack of recent deals. So where is the floor? There is a lot of uncertain. How do you deal with this uncertainty, evaluation company?
It's very difficult to deal with this. We operate in Spain and Portugal. We have 16 offices, more than 400 valuers in the countries, in both countries. So, like in other aspects related to the macroeconomic situation, we will have to wait to see, to know the duration of the restrictions to estimate the impact this may have on values, on yields, and returns, since the current standstill leaves them in a suspended situation. For its part, the Bank of Spain, our central bank, has requested appraisal companies to carry out a series of modifications in their valuation criteria derived from the current situation. So we at Gesvalt, we always rely on prudence. We are analyzing the guidelines set by industry regulators. And above all, and regarding the mandatory inspections for full valuation reports, we are taking into account aspects such as the urgency of each case and always prioritize the protection and safety of all workers and operators. But on the other hand, we will have to review all the comparables due to the shortage of movements, both in supply and in the volume of transactions, as you mentioned before, caused by the stoppage of activity derived from the state of alarm. And we'll also have to analyze and include the risk analysis and the real estate rating in our valuations. We are already doing that, and we are working very closely with our clients to understand their current situation and to be able to provide the most accurate valuations. But taking as well the perspective of what it's going to come, So these tendencies and perspectives are also very important for the valuation work. So this is what we are working on.
Linked with this question, I will say a very difficult question. I will say the $1 million question is: how many quarters do you believe will be needed to come back to December 2019?
Well, that's definitely the $1 million question, for sure. I think it's still too soon to be able to provide specific dates or estimates on in this regard, and we will have to wait and see the evolution of the situation we are in. But everything will depend on the period of time required to achieve that normality, and also the industry boosting measures taken from that moment on. But we. In the company, we are quite confident of a fast recovery, so that we can return soon to the point where we were. Soon, let's see what it's soon. It should be kept in mind that the forecasts are not the same for the entire industry. So, but rather each segment will have its own characteristics. So, on one hand, we consider that the office, logistics, and residential sectors may achieve recovery in probably couple of quarters. We are already analyzing in depth the situation of the retail segment. This is going to be critical, which in my opinion will take a longer time to recover. However, the tourism industry is undergoing a more complicated situation since it has been much more affected by the health crisis. So we expect that it will take between 1 or 2 years until return to normal. The situation of alternative assets, for example, is completely different since they have barely suffered the consequences of this pandemic. And we estimate that their recovery will be faster, although a slight impact on revenue may be expected.
The governments are now taking measures to the recovery of the economy, including real estate. So, by one side, your opinion about these measures and what it will be need, and on the other hand, a lot of these measures mean printing a lot of money. So, what will be the consequence of this uh, liquidity
This liquidity, yeah.
in the real estate market?
Yeah, right. Well, we are all looking very closely to the governments or to our governments and what they are going to do to assist and to help. And yeah, so I mean, we hope, we all hope to have a fast recovery on the real estate industry. And we hope as well to be able to start again at the point where we left off before the outbreak of the health crisis. We were in a good time for the real estate industry, and we were in a price stabilization phase, and we deem it possible to return to the point. Faced with this new reality we are in, one of the essential issues to reactivate the economy and the business fabric will consist of investing in assets with a good return on investment, and that is those providing security in the medium and the long term. Furthermore, it will be necessary to minimize the impact of outstanding rents during the period of time when different types of moratoriums of payments have been granted, specifically in the residential, retail, and office sectors. So, in the event of an increase in market liquidity, we could see a rise in demand for prime assets that may lead to a price rise, although it is still soon to be able to make a specific assessment in this regard. But a decrease in prices of new construction housing is not expected in the coming months. So, on the contrary, we predict some delays in planned launches of new real estate projects. We can't expect a reduction in construction costs as a result of the current scenario, specifically in the medium term. So therefore, the evolution of prices and the speed of recovery will depend on the balance between the new supply on the market, since construction activity was halted just for only 2 weeks, and damped demand. So although this may experience variations in preferences due to new criteria, just like space-related, location-related, due to professional issues arising from work from home and those things. And regarding the government's specific actions, I think that some measures that have been taken, they were appropriate, in the appropriate way to get out of this crisis in the best way possible and with the minimum consequences. In the residential sector, for example, as well as in small businesses, certain aspects, such as providing liquidity to users and tenants, are positive and represent a good management action from our point of view. Likewise, in halting of rental control has been positive, although we will have to wait until the eviction moratorium is over at the end of the years to appropriately evaluate the impact. But on the contrary, the tourism industry needs urgent measures, and we have not yet seen specific lines of action to mitigate the damage caused. So in any case, managing this type of crisis is not an easy task, and we trust that the government will implement really as soon as possible all the necessary measures to save an industry, the tourism, with so much relevance to our country's economy, because this is a key sector both for Spain and Portugal.
Sandra, Daza, do you want to say some last words to our listeners?
Yes, of course. I would like to say that our markets have been very interesting from an investment point of view, and they will be very interesting from an investment point of view. So we remain to be good countries to invest, and we really hope to have a lot of investors in our real estate market.
Sandra, it was a really, really pleasure to have you with us. Many
Thank you
thanks.
so much.
And we look forward to meet you again in person.
Me too. Antonio, thank you so much for this. Thank you. See you soon, I hope.